City, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. These are their stories.
Hey guys, welcome to Munch My Benson. My name is Adam. I'm here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we have something a little different planned for today. I'm joined online by Josh. Josh, why don't you introduce our new segment here?
So we're joined by a very special guest today. Before you saw him cashing in on his ice cream man status to gain entry to the homes of his single mother
Ooh.
targets in season 23 of SVU, One More Tale of Two Victims, which we covered at some point. Uh,
Yeah.
it'll be linked in the show notes. But today's guest star, or today's guest starred as the put upon live action son of an animated He-Man analog in the irreverent sitcom Son of Zorn. And he stole scene after scene, playing memorable recurring scuzzballs, dipshits, and doofuses with aplomb in shows like Superstore, Family Tools, Kroll Show, Pickle and Peanut, I Feel Bad, and You're the Worst. Film fans will recognize him from his turns in Weird, The Al Yankovic Story, King Knight, Action Point, Neighbors 2, This Is 40, Jump Streets 21 and 22, Band of Robbers, The Watch, and In the Loop. He's an accomplished stand-up and improv performer, hosts the podcast Live to Tape on Starburns Audio, and is bringing his solo show, Minnesota Reggae Colostomy Bag, to Chicago on the dates February 14th through 17th. If you're in the area, you should definitely buy tickets. Today's guest is none other than Rochester, Minnesota's own Johnny Pemberton. Johnny, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. How are you doing?
I'm great. You need to write my bio for me. That's the best I've ever heard it. I think that's, yeah.
Yeah,
Never
it's
heard- so well written and succinct, and everything's in there, but it's all doesn't feel. Oh wow, yeah, I'm doing great now.
that's awesome. So I guess before we dive into things, let's get some plugs out there for you. So,
Right.
like the YouTube crowd who tunes out after 3 minutes,
Okay.
can get to your stuff. So are tickets still available for your Chicago dates?
Oh yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I haven't been checking on them because it's not something I like to do. But
Sure, I
there's
hear
definitely.
you.
I think there's 4 shows, so I think there's some tickets
Okay,
left. Yeah, definitely.
cool. We'll throw a link to the ticketing site for that's at the Den.
At the Den, yeah, the
Yeah,
Den in Chicago in Wicker Park.
right on.
Wicker
But
Park.
yeah, we'll throw some links in there. What can Chicago, and I know you're putting it up every once in a while in
Right.
LA. What can people going to Minnesota Reggae Colostomy Bag expect?
They can expect to be entertained and educated at the same time, I guess. It's just my solo show, a one-man show I've been working on for a while now, but it's changed. It's grown a lot over the years.
Okay.
Also, I mean, I did it the first time right before the pandemic, like literally like a week before everything
Nice.
started stopping.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a really fun show. I love doing it because it's a lot different than anything else I've ever done, but it's still, I don't know. That's me saying that though. That's like sort of so it's the tiger still has its stripes, but
Sure.
it's like a different dance.
Yeah, still irreverent, but it's, I would assume, given what I presume the subject matter to be,
Right.
that it's like a lot more personal.
Yeah, very personal, but
Yeah,
Nice.
it's not like sad personal.
sure.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole point of the show is to be like very very fun and making fun of all kinds of things that I never really talked about before because it's hard to talk about certain things. But
Sure.
now I found a way to talk about it, and it's really fun to talk about it. Actually,
Awesome.
surprisingly, I'm surprised
That
myself. Actually,
that's
yeah.
awesome. Do you have any upcoming stand-up dates on the docket?
I'm think I'm nothing big I can think of right now. Just I'm always doing spots and stuff around LA. And I open for Duncan Trussell a lot on the road,
Yeah.
and so
Nice.
I'll probably be with him pretty soon. I think maybe in St. Louis, but that's yeah.
Right on. Where can listeners find everything Johnny
You
Pemberton?
just gotta Google me. You just gotta just type in my name and see
Yeah.
what comes up. Sometimes
But
it might be a fake account, but it's yeah. I'm on Instagram. I'm on
sure.
TikTok.
Your website's pretty comprehensive too.
Yeah, JohnnyPemberton.dog.
Yeah. Um, so its release date's just coming up in a couple months, but you're on a pretty big Amazon show
Yeah,
that
it's
the
gonna be
audience will be able to
exciting.
find you in. What was it like working on something that big? Is that the
Well,
biggest
it
thing you've
was.
been on?
I don't know. I mean, maybe like as far as a television show, but I mean, it's not really a television show. It's more like
Right.
eight little movies because they're it's
Yeah,
an hour
it's
long
Jonathan
show.
Nolan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
and
wow.
Lisa Joy.
I think Lisa was only there in like maybe a writing component, but
Okay.
it's mainly Jonah.
Yeah.
We call him Jonah.
Yeah,
I
right,
think
right.
Jonah
He
Nolan
does.
and the showrunners are Geneva Dwarce Robinson and Graham Wagner, and they're alums from all kinds of crazy good stuff. Yeah, it was I don't know, it was a really crazy experience. We traveled. It's one of the few things I've worked on where I almost can't say anything about it because it's so
Sure.
secretive.
Right.
But
This
like
is
I was about
Fallout
to,
we're talking about, by
yeah,
the way.
Fallout.
I've neglected to mention the name of the show.
Very
Nice.
secretive, but we
Yeah.
traveled extensively for the show,
Hmm.
like around the world essentially,
Wow.
and just for to shoot some stuff that looks to lot to me like someplace that's not that
Sure.
place. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it was really very cool, and it's like a kind of thing where I'm excited to see it. Is I think a lot of fans are just because it's going to look incredible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've only seen a little bit of it, and it looks absolutely outstanding. Like some of the sets and stuff, the sets are, oh, they're
Nuts.
just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
No,
Really
it
amazing.
the trailer looks dope. Like it's crazy.
Hmm.
It looks really good. So as you've discussed on a few of your many appearances on Duncan Trussell Family Hour,
Right?
you've been on that show so much. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously you
well,
tour with him like
yeah,
your
we're like
moms. Yeah.
old friends, some of my
Yeah,
best
yeah.
friends in the
Uh-huh.
world. So
Nice.
But you've got a film in post that I'm personally very excited about uh,
mhm.
from the Butt Boy director Tyler Cornack.
Right.
What can you share about this?
That's so funny. We just had dinner last night and talked about it a bunch
Nice.
because I haven't.
Nice.
He's almost finished editing it. It's a movie. It's like a thriller comedy about a
Mhm.
guy who's a Florida guy, a Florida man,
Mm.
Right on.
and that's me. I'm the Florida man who is a loser, and he's a loner, and he is addicted to painkillers, and he it's about him finding a mermaid, but it's not a mermaid like a Daryl
I
Hannah.
like Splash. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a creature. It
Uh-huh.
is a nasty creature,
Right on.
and there's all kinds of stuff that happens there. That's all in the vein of Florida. It's very
Nice.
Florida. It's a very Florida movie, Florida heavy on purpose.
Right on.
I think I love it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever worked on as far
Well,
as
and you're starring in.
yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
lead of the movie, so that was a great experience, and I love Tyler so much. He's such a we're very different people, but he is his sense of humor is really special, and so it's
Oh
something
yeah.
that where I got to that's how we got to know each other because I saw Butt Boy.
Which is
I would just
fucking awesome.
it's just so unique, and it
Yeah.
also it's such a small cheap movie, but it manages to be so great that it's like wow, if you can do that, man.
Yeah, it's a man. That movie's nuts. Everyone should just watch Butt Boy. Don't look at anything up about it.
Yeah, it's not even as weird as it seems.
No,
You
no,
know?
it's so much more normal than the concept of the movie
Yeah,
is.
it
Uh,
is.
it's a I fucking love that movie.
Me too. I
So
love
I'm
it.
very excited. Is it still called Mermaid?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know, it's going to be called Mermaid.
Sure. Right
Yeah,
on.
it probably won't be. People won't be able to see it probably for. I bet till the fall at the
Yeah.
soonest, maybe. Even then, that's probably pushing it because we have to do everything takes forever. Like the festival
Sure.
circuit takes forever. Then it's
Right.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't even know, man.
Yeah, and then it's like, does it go straight to digital or does it get
Yeah.
a weird art house
Distributed.
release? Or, yeah,
Right.
right.
That would be the idea. That'd be
Yeah.
the. I think with most things now, people end up seeing it, being able to watch it at home, just because it's unless you get like a big theatrical release. Even then, a lot of times people just don't.
Right.
I see less movies than I
go.
used to.
Oh, I
So,
used to go to 50 a year, easy.
Hmm.
Like I'd go to one a
Well, that's
week,
great. Wow, that's really cool. I
but
wish
not
I could do that.
anymore. I can't do it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen like fucking 4 movies in the last year in the theater. So I mentioned this back when we covered your SVU episode, but you and
Right.
I happened to have gone to the same elementary school at the same
That's
time.
right. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
If my internet sleuthing's correct, I think you were a year behind me. Are you class of 99?
And high school, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you were a year behind me. We were both at Bamber Valley at the same time.
Bamber Valley. Wow.
Yeah,
That's funny.
we were sandwiched. My sister was a year younger. I was a year older. I don't remember anything about elementary school. Like
I have
nothing.
fleeting little snippets and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we moved around so much. Like I moved to Rochester in 3rd grade and then left after 4th grade. So like I have
Okay.
a very loose memory of anything there.
Right.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, your dad was at least a 2nd generation doctor or surgeon at Mayo Clinic?
Third generation, yeah.
3rd generation, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Weird, right?
I mean, that's going like your great grandfather has to have been like one of the first
it was
doctors at
started,
Mayo after the
yeah.
Yeah,
Mayo
he was.
brothers.
I think he was in the first round of doctors, maybe.
And the Mayo Clinic was started by the Mayo brothers, right? It was
Right, Will
like
and Charlie.
Yep.
Yep.
So obviously, this is sort of much of the subject of your one-man show, but you
Right.
dealt with a pretty serious illness, ulcerative colitis, when you were a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
Without stepping on the solo show that you're touring too
Oh,
much.
yeah. It's
what-
mine to
what-
step on though, so it's okay.
Sure, yeah, but don't feel pressure from us to
Yeah.
like go too much into it. But what was it like growing up with a family kind of entrenched at that institution that's the lifeblood of Rochester while dealing with a serious illness?
I mean, I don't know. I think I wasn't really aware of it because it's, to me, that was normal because I didn't
Sure,
know
you
anything
didn't know
else.
any
It's the
different.
only place I've ever lived. I only ever had one dad, and pretty much all of my friends' parents worked there as well.
Yeah.
So I was so used to calling people doctor that I would sometimes call people who were not doctor, like my T-ball coach. I would be like, doctor, whatever. He's
Sure.
like, I'm not a doctor, Johnny. Like, I didn't know. I just figured that's the
Isn't
would
that what you
how
call
you address
older
them.
men?
Yeah.
Yeah, because pretty much everyone in Rochester it works
It's involved
there,
there, yeah.
especially back then. Back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
I mean, now it's changed. Now the city's grown so much.
Yep.
But back then it was definitely also my understanding of the world was limited to people my parents worked with, and I went to a pretty small school, so
Sure.
I think I don't know. I think as far as how it was having colitis and also living in Rochester, again, I don't think I
Any different
knew.
to-
Yeah, until I got older. I remember the first time I went to a hospital that wasn't the clinic, I was like, this place is not very good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong? Like, how come this is this way? And it's like, oh, it's because it's just not the best hospital in the world.
In the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have foreign dignitaries. You don't have presidents of other fucking countries coming
Yes.
to the
Flying
hospital.
in.
Yeah. Yeah, Rochester's very it's kind of a weird town. There's like a lot of money, but there's not like a true college. So it's
Yeah.
kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like downtown, especially like when I was a kid, even into the 90s, because we moved back to southern Minnesota, but like over by La Crosse. And when I'd go back to Rochester, like as a 18-year-old or whatever, like downtown seemed dead.
Yeah, I think it's everyone's a bunch of dorks,
Yeah, they're all
a bunch
they're
of
all
scientists.
doctors. They're all
Yeah,
doctors.
so they don't
Yeah.
party really.
Yeah, and it's strange a town with that money kind of like being that quiet. What was it like growing up there?
I mean, I don't. Again, it's like the only place I've ever lived.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I just thought it was. I think at some age I became aware it was a very insulated place. Like it really was incredibly safe. Like there's almost no crime whatsoever.
Right.
And it just was very not very diverse place, I guess. Well, actually, you know what? That's not true, really. I think it's probably more diverse than a lot of other towns of that same size in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because you have such an influx. Like I had a lot of friends who were Asian, like who were either Vietnamese because
Yeah.
from their parents were refugees, or they were their
Mom.
parents were that, or they were just from they were one of my good friends, his dad was Japanese, and they grew up in St. Paul, and another friend of mine, his parents were Filipino, and they moved there to work at the clinic. So
Sure.
yeah, I knew a lot of people who knew a lot of
It wasn't as white
Yeah.
bread as you would think. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
thinking
ethnically
back on
diverse,
it.
but like socioeconomically not very
Yeah.
diverse.
Yeah. Yeah.
probably.
It's
Yeah.
all still rich people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a different thing. I also realized that like the wealth that comes from that is very different than the kind of wealth that people talk about in terms of like people who accumulate money from real estate and stuff like
Sure.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Because everyone there, there's a lot of people who you'd meet who just they like didn't like money was furthest thing from their head because they're just their head is in science. They're so
Yeah.
entrenched and so interested in science stuff. They're just really like just a bunch of geeks who don't
More
really care about.
introspective.
Yeah, very
And, like,
introspective. Yeah.
being the husband of a doctor, like they don't have very much time to spend their money, right? So
Mhm.
it's like not even like it's like they have it, but they can't do anything with it really.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this
Yeah.
famous couple in Rochester when I was a kid. It was a woman who was a plastic surgeon, and her husband was a garbage man.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking that was so cool. And I don't know why, but I think some point we were in their basement, and this guy had like the most collection of beer steins I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was very clear that like this garbage man is spending the plastic surgeon's money really well.
Oh yeah, awesome! Like, way to go, guy.
Yeah, like hundreds of vintage beer steins.
I mean,
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's good to be interested in things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to, I think it was and I'll talk about this more in a second, but I think it was the Octavio Pisano episode of your show that you did, of your podcast, and you like name dropped Apache Mall, and it gave me like a weird like
Oh, yeah.
a weird like tinge of like nostalgia, because like, you know, I used to live on just up the hill from 16th Street, but we were poor at the time. My dad like basically took like 3.5 years in the middle of my elementary schooling to like go back to school. And so like he was doing training at Methodist in the Mayo system, and like job related training, but he was making like $30K a year and like supporting a family of 5 on it. So like
That's a lot of
not a
five.
ton of money.
Yeah.
And so like we were kind of poors, but like we would go to, it was like voluntary though. So like, it's not that bad. But yeah, it was, you know, we basically spent anytime we went anywhere, it was just basically Apache Mall to the movie theater, or like I saw Karate Kid 2 there.
I remember that movie. That was a good movie theater. I saw a lot of movies there.
Oh yeah, for real. Or we'd rent movies from that grocery. Was it a Rainbow there?
Oh,
What was that? Or a
gosh.
festival maybe? It was a grocery store, or maybe it was
Rainbow,
a Cub.
the one by the Apache Mall.
Yeah, the one south of the Apache Mall, just across 16th
Okay, yeah, I know what
Street.
you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was
yeah.
Econofoods.
I thought it was
Econofoods.
It was Econofoods, but then it was High V, right?
Okay. Yeah, that would have happened after I left.
I loved Econo. That was
Yeah.
the best name.
I know.
I like the logo too.
I
Econo.
do. I actually, that's like a much better logo than pretty much every grocery store logo. That
Wow, I've kind of man, this is like scratching a part of my
Sorry,
brain.
sorry,
that hasn't
weird-
been touched in a
Weird
long time.
nonsense. Weird nonsense. We can move on. No one who's listening gives a shit about that.
Econofoods.
I'm just gonna start talking about the Piggly Wiggly now by myself.
Okay. Well, have fun with that, Adam.
Yeah, I will.
So as a kid, you graduated from Rochester Lourdes, which was like the
Right.
kind of private school in Rochester.
Well, it's not a private school; it's a Catholic school. It's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is not
I
nice.
couldn't remember what. Yeah, I couldn't remember what denomination it was. I
Yeah, it's
figured it was
Catholic.
Catholic, but I wasn't 100%.
Well, I have a joke that I said that Catholic schools are not nice because all the extra money goes to priest legal defense.
Oh, for real? Yeah. And my
They're not
my
nice
friends,
schools.
my
Well,
friends who went to the Catholic school in
yeah.
La Crosse, it was the same deal.
Yeah, it's not a private. It is technically a private school, but it is not a. It's not a private school. It's just a.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I went to a private school. It was different.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah, very different.
Still a lot of drug use, though. I think.
Oh, tons. Yeah, tons.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just school, right?
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think the private schools have they have a lot of problems with that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well,
It's
kids
like-
have money. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Richie Riches are
Yeah.
snorting.
Mhm.
So going from Lourdes, how did you decide on Florida State as a school?
I got accepted.
Okay,
That's why
okay.
I didn't accept it anyplace else.
Okay.
That works.
Literally, I also wanted to go to film school really bad, and I
Uh-huh.
tried to go to film school at Florida State. I didn't get in, didn't get accepted to that, which I think was probably a really good thing because as much as the film program there is really great, it's also like it's great if you want to be like a sound designer, if you want to be like
Mhm.
I don't know, a gaffer, or you want to do something like that. But it's not very. Everyone I have met from that film school, with a few exceptions, is humorless, like literally
Mhm.
humorless.
Yeah.
We used to go to film school parties and like make fun of them and stuff. I would like secretly record them. I don't know. Like I would say Kubrick wrong just to piss them off.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You just like troll them with film
Oh,
nerds.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But you know,
Uh,
it was still a cool spot. I like
so
Florida.
you did like Florida State?
Yeah, I did. You know, it was just so different than Minnesota. I just wanted to get away from Minnesota. I
Yeah.
think I decided I wanted that. And it's fun to be in some places that's a lot different. And
It's way
yeah, I
different.
don't know. I do love Florida. I feel like there's something about it that is very attractive in a weird sense because it's like this place of it's a chaos. Florida is chaos,
Oh yeah.
which is it's such a blend of things, and people hate it, but it's also I think they're hating the thing that is just it hates itself. So you don't need to hate it. You can just enjoy it, like observe it.
Was there anything about doing Mermaid in Florida that like sort of took you back to college?
Oh hell yeah, totally. I mean, just the smells
Yeah.
alone are so unique because it's so humid there, and like
Yeah.
all the there's like I don't know what it is, but there's like a smell that Florida has. I think it's a lot of places are super humid. They have like it's the St. Augustine grass mixing
Yeah.
with like whatever like live oak trees and just all this stuff. It's so I love it. I really
It's
do.
thick. The
It's
air.
oh my god. It's
Yeah.
so like you will start if you will sweat almost instantly
hmm
if you go
Adam,
on a
yeah.
run or something like that.
Adam
I
lived
used to live
Galveston.
in Galveston in Texas, which is like the same thing, just impossibly humid and
That's
sticky.
armpit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Sometimes I miss it, but then I don't.
Yeah,
Now
I
I
don't
live
know. I
in the
mean,
opposite climate.
it is nice to go to a place for a limited amount of time because you really
Mhm.
just get to have the best of it because you know you're
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
Like I stayed after for about a week after we filmed. I went down to Key West, not Key West, just to the Keys.
Yeah.
Didn't even make it to Key West. It's too
Okay.
far.
Yeah.
But as much as I went out on a little fishing trip
Right.
with a charter.
Mhm.
Catch
I was,
anything?
oh my God, it was great. Caught so much stuff. I didn't get to keep
Nice.
anything, but
Yeah.
I'm not a real fisher person at all, but
Yeah.
oh God, I loved it. It was so fun.
It's a thrill though when you get something big and
Yeah.
Yes.
exciting. Oh, it's a
Mm.
Or
thrill.
something that looks crazy. It has crazy colors and stuff. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah. I miss
You,
that.
Adam could talk about fishing for
Oh, a little bit. Yeah.
for a long enough time.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going back there next year and going on a longer fishing trip, I think, with some
It's-
friends.
Yeah, it's super fun. Pick a good weather day though. It's no fun when the
Oh,
when the
it's
seas are rough.
fucking
Yeah.
terrible. We were
Yeah.
out on 8-foot seas from Port
What?
Aransas. It was
Oh,
fucking awful. I threw up the entire
it's
time. I
miserable.
basically dropped my line in the water for about maybe 10 minutes and then was like,
Yeah.
nope. And
Yeah, it's a
fucking
party
just
of like
threw up.
20 people. We caught 2 fish. It was
Yeah.
it was great. It was
It's
wonderful.
it's not worth it if the weather's bad. You're just not
Exactly.
going to catch shit.
But that's one
and you're
reason
all
why
gonna throw
Florida
up.
is go fishing from Florida, not from Texas, because
Yeah.
Texas, the way the Gulf of Mexico works, it makes that those sea periods are shorter, so the waves can be the same height, but in Florida they're spaced further apart.
oh.
This is very nerdy, but you don't want them spaced closely together. It sucks.
Yeah, the tight period's bad. I had
Yeah.
that experience once on a boat where you're slamming because the boat can't
Yeah.
recover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can be in like 60-foot seas in the South Pacific and not really notice it because
Right,
they're
because
so far
they're
apart.
rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Adam
So-
was a Coast Guard licensed.
I used to
yeah.
be a boat captain.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
cool.
that was what I did before I became a dad. And
it's
dropped
kind of the
out.
same thing. You're just a captain of a small
Yeah.
autonomous boat.
Yeah, who pees himself in the middle of the night all the time.
It's the bilge pump.
Exactly.
Yeah, for real.
It sure is.
So how did you end up in comedy and acting from FSU after like not getting into the film program?
Well, I still studied that stuff when I was in college, but
Sure.
you know, that's just it's not like that was I don't know. They don't keep in touch. They're not trying to they're not knocking on my door. to
Right.
do any of the alumni stuff for whatever reason. Their loss. Uh, but I don't know. I moved to. I just always wanted to do comedy. I wanted to do improv. I tried to move to Chicago back in the day, but I couldn't get a job there. I really needed to have a job to have health insurance because I couldn't risk not having health insurance because
especially then there's no
yeah.
I'm sure it was very hard for you to get health insurance for a long time.
Well, I had to pay a significant amount of money when I first moved to LA. I got, I think it's called Cobra or something like that.
Yeah.
And this was in 2000 and what was 2005? I think I was paying. I'm not kidding. I think I was paying over $500 a month.
Oh yeah,
I believe it.
And that's for a guy, a single man in his 20s who is because I have a pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
I mean the healthcare system is so incredibly broken. It's the kind of thing where if some crazy vigilante were to murder the top 50 healthcare executives, there would be no tears in at all.
Yeah.
It's like, it's literally theft. You're stealing from people.
It's fucking terrible. I had I knew a guy who was like Division 1 or Division, like he was invited to the draft combine, like super athletic dude.
Right.
He died at like 25 because he couldn't get insured. He had Wilson's disease and couldn't get insured, and basically like his liver just collected copper until he fucking died.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah, fucking awesome.
It's really insane, but yeah, that's why I couldn't move to Chicago because I needed to have an actual job to have health insurance. Because it's like, if you don't have insurance and something happens, that's 40 grand.
Yeah,
that's your entire life.
Thing. Or maybe 40 grand. You'd be lucky if it's 40 grand.
Yep.
Yeah, but I ended up getting a job in LA through some friends who, they were a little older than me, and a lot of times with some of these places, it's like what do you call it? A daisy chain of employees, because you have super low level jobs.
Yeah.
The people don't want to have to find someone. It's like, you got a friend? Okay,
Yeah.
you vouch for them? Okay, hire them.
Yeah.
And that was that at Fox?
It was at Fox, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't really do
I did my
anything there.
research apparently.
Yeah.
So at Fox, were you just like
I was
working
like doing
as an
something
assistant or?
No, I was like working in the web, fox.com. And this is before, the internet was much of the thing as it is now. And I was doing this thing they called back then viral marketing. Where I would basically go onto message boards and be like, hey, have you guys seen this show Bones? I heard it's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's on at 8/7 Central.
Were you really having to like pimp
Yes,
Bones
I had like
on
30 or
forums?
40. Yeah, 30 or 40 accounts that were set up before me.
Yeah, sure. No, you're just picking up. Are they worried about like inconsistencies with these characters? You couldn't just make your own character?
They're not worried about anything.
Yeah,
they don't give a shit about anything at all. Like they're paying me. I'm like, this is the most money I've ever made in my life. But for them, it's, I look back on it, it's like, they were paying me nothing.
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't give a shit. I had two roommates and a 1-bedroom apartment, and I was rolling in it for me back then.
Rent was a lot lower too.
Oh my God, it was nothing. It was nothing at all. I can't even think about it.
I fucking moved there in 2015, and my wife and I had to live in a fucking studio apartment.
Yeah,
because it was
room.
Yeah, we called it room.
Room.
Yeah. And like when we moved there, it was like so fucking expensive to do, like really to do anything. But like, I mean, our rent we lived in a studio, and it was still over $1,000 a month, and we didn't have off-street parking. We were in Thai Town, so like we were on.
That's
Normandy.
where I lived.
Oh yeah, we were on Normandy, in between Hollywood and Sunset.
Yeah, I lived off of Hollywood and what was it, Wilton or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was where you lived then. Yeah, right by the beer. Yeah, so we were there for like 5.5 years, and it was just like, if you're in the industry, you're going from job to job,
right,
and never knowing like if you're going to work again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I excuse me. I definitely experienced that for a while after I got laid off from Fox, but I got laid off. Remember the 2008 like crisis
Oh,
thing.
Yeah.
very well.
Big downturn. Mhm.
Because that reset everything, and that reset. That's when I got laid off there. I was the first round of layoffs because they realized, like, oh, this person doesn't do anything, and we're paying him. Like, I was nice, people liked me there, but
Sure.
I don't.
That's the
I
way to
Paying
didn't.
him
keep
to
those
post on
jobs.
something awful.
Yeah, I think at that point I would have been upgraded to being like a website producer, which
Okay.
I don't make websites.
Yeah,
It
sure,
was me
sure.
like talking to a designer.
Mhm.
They did everything. I just was sort of, it's such a classic case of I got laid off for the. It was good. It was good for everybody that happened.
Yeah. So how long were you at Fox, like after moving to LA?
I think like maybe. Well, I moved there for the job,
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
but I was there for I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. I'm not even
Okay.
sure. I think it couldn't have been more than 2 years.
I'm assuming you were doing like improv on the.
Yeah, I started improv when
Were you at
when
IO
UCB
or UCB when it
UCB
opened? Okay.
Yeah, when it first opened, I was in took the first round of classes that
Okay.
they had, and I was really into it there. I was really into that. I also started doing stand up around the same time.
Okay.
There's a wonderful comedian named Peter Sprite who was dating a coworker of mine at the time, and she introduced me to him, and he put me up on one of his shows he had at the Belly Room in the Comedy Store. But before that, we met like twice, and he sat with me for a couple hours, helped me work on my material and stuff in a way that, like, the further I get away from it, the more I'm like, this man is a saint, like
Yeah.
a living saint
Mhm.
to do that for me.
Right.
And
yeah.
it was very meaningful. And it was a thing where I got to do this set at the Comedy Store. It was like my third time ever doing stand up. And the first time I ever did it was just, I did it a couple times in college, but like in someone's living room was just a real, like, I don't know, just hangout sort of thing, like hipster
Yeah.
hangout.
Sure.
And that went really well, but also it wasn't really real. But then when I did it at the Comedy Store, I was so nervous because I had this terrible
can
experience
imagine.
before that. It was
Mhm.
really bad. I bombed like crazy.
And bombing
But
in
then
the
I had
belly
this-
room's not fun either. Like.
Well, I bombed. It's a crazy story. We were shooting this web talk show at Fox to promote the shows.
Mhm.
It was like a little like internalized web talk show to promote different
Sure.
Fox shows. They had some guests on there. You know, they had Dana Gould was on there.
Okay.
This guy Charlie Finn, who's on a show called Life on a Stick.
Mhm.
Can't remember who else was on there. And they, it would spend all this time.
But I mean,
helped
Dana
write on
Gould,
it.
very real
Yeah.
stand up. Yeah.
Very real.
Yeah.
But this was just a little talk show that they had
Mhm.
to promote these shows, and I was like, I'll do a warm up for this thing that was shooting like in Van Nuys
Yeah.
with a paid audience.
Uh-huh.
I did this, and it was terrible. And I found out from people later, they were like, "Why would you ever think that was a good
I
idea?"
know, right? Yeah. That's what I'm thinking as you're talking about this. Like,
Yeah.
whoa,
There's
that's a
people
bad
who are-
audience.
Veteran stand-ups who wouldn't do that. 'Cause I'm like, I'm
No.
not gonna fucking do that.
Brody
And so-
Stevens couldn't have killed in that room. Like,
Well, I think, yeah, he's
Well,
the
maybe
only,
he could
only
have, but-
only Brody. But even then, he'd be sweating.
yeah, he'd be working it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. But then when I did the Belly Room after that, it was like the greatest experience ever because it was the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
At least the terrible experience was like very low stakes,
It was,
in
I mean,
retrospect,
but-
like
In retrospect,
in
yeah.
retrospect, but at
It
the
didn't
time,
feel like
I
it at the
imagine
time,
that
I'm
was like
sure,
the
but-
whole world.
No,
Yeah,
because
geez.
no one would make eye contact with me. It was so
Right.
bad. Yeah.
Man, that
I've since talked to Dana about this, like because I see him from
Yeah.
time to time at shows, and I think I've talked to him about that. I always forget that happened though. Yeah.
did he
it's like-
remember?
I don't think he did.
I mean, he's seen so many guys bomb that,
Yeah.
and there's no way he
Yeah.
wouldn't have like clocked the situation immediately and been like, feel fucking bad for that guy, you know?
Oh yeah, everyone felt bad for me. It was
Yeah.
the thing when people won't make eye contact with you, that's when you know it's bad because you've been sullied. You're just dirty. The shame that you have is so heavy and so toxic that to look at you would be to like get infected with it.
So at UCB, you're in the first classes once they opened in LA. Was that
Right.
was Paul Scheer teaching then, or
No, I
who
think
would
it
have
was
been?
a lot of people. I think it was who's teaching there was Sean Conroy was my first teacher. I think Donna Fineglass was teaching. Danielle Snyder was teaching. I
Okay.
think Owen Burke was teaching then. I took a couple classes with Ian Roberts. He was
Okay.
like a fill-in. I think also Matt Besser was teaching some stuff then too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so after moving to LA, how long did it take for you to sort of like feel secure in your place in the industry?
Oh, I'm waiting for
If
that.
you do, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you do,
What day is it?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, security is like
yeah.
it's relative. There's been times when I felt very secure, and then there's times when it's like, oh, that security slowly fades away. I
Oh,
would
yeah.
say that, I don't know. I think the first time I really felt, gosh, I don't know. I never really look at it that way. I think that maybe when I had, when I shot the Superstore pilot, and then when we shot the Son of Zorn pilot, I sort of felt good about that.
Yeah.
I felt pretty good then. But even then, it was something where I remember waiting around, like, oh, is Son of Zorn going to get a second season? Is he going to get a second season? We're just waiting.
That took
And
forever too. Like it felt like it took
Yeah.
years for them to announce that it wasn't coming back.
Right. But that's because there's a lot of stuff going on behind
Oh,
the
sure.
scenes that people don't know about.
Yeah.
It made it hard for them. They wanted to have a second season. They spent so much money
Mhm.
on advertising and stuff that it would make sense to have a second season. I think it was they couldn't say yes because of just how difficult of a show it was to make, especially with the personalities they were dealing with to make it.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not any of the actors.
We'll leave it at
fault.
that.
Yeah, I mean it's really kind of it's not that interesting actually. It's
Yeah.
more sad than interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the whole security thing I think is really an illusion, you know.
Oh,
Like you think about like someone like Sharon Stone, right? Like was it
Mhm.
a few years ago they were like Sharon Stone doesn't have health care because she didn't work enough in this 1 year. It's like we're talking about one of the greatest actresses
Uh-huh.
that I've ever seen.
Yep.
But
Like how
You know, I
fucking
was-
good is she in Basic Instinct? And like to have,
or Casino,
yeah,
Mhm.
she's
Ugh.
so fucking good. And like
it's scary.
it's really nuts how quickly like big actors can be like kind of out on their ass.
Mhm.
Yep. I mean, probably doesn't help that some certain people have some spending habits.
Sure.
I,
Yeah.
I'm just so super conservative with I don't spend any money. Like I remember I love to buy records. Like I love buying records. And then when I got my first job here in LA, I was like, oh, records are cheap. Records are not like an expensive hobby. People
Yeah.
like to buy cars. People like to buy,
Right.
you know, blow it at
Houses.
the fucking strip club or houses or
Mm-hmm.
they do stuff like that. I have a incredibly cheap hobby that I thought was expensive. It's not.
Right.
It's
right.
just I'm just a hoarder.
yeah.
Like it's not the same thing. So yeah, I
They
don't
do
know. I
suck to
mean,
move though.
are you
They suck
kidding
to
me?
move a
It's
lot.
insane. It's the most. It is like having a bunch of dead bodies, but even then, it's not even that. Like my garage right now is, oof. I have so many records. I get how over 2,000 records.
Oh, nice.
Fuck, that's got to be a massive pain. I mean, I suppose you pay movers, but
Yeah.
I just
mean,
I'm in
you
a
sort
third
of,
floor.
yeah.
I
third
move the
floor
records though, 'cause
apartment.
I won't let them move them. I won't
Oh,
let
no,
the
I hear
movers
you.
move the records. Yeah, because I'm scared they're gonna fuck with them. So
Yeah.
I've always moved them myself.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
just got
third
to
floor
experience
and
that this
it's
summer.
terrible. No elevator, like moving just crate by crate of records up these fucking stairs.
I used to sell records actually after I stopped working at Fox, after I got laid off.
Okay.
That was how I was making money. I was collecting unemployment and I was selling records online and at a flea market every week.
Okay.
Nice. Were you making enough to survive that way?
Well, I didn't need hardly anything. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, truly
Nice.
didn't
It was like
need
spending
hardly.
cash. Yeah.
God, I could
Well,
live
three
off
in a, you were
nothing.
still in the one bedroom with two roommates?
No, we didn't have this loft downtown, but it was a loft that was meant for two people and there was four of us living there.
Okay,
So
okay.
Nice.
rent was cheap. It was like
And it was in downtown before downtown got nice and desirable.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
actually, I think about 4 or 5 months after we moved there is when the first grocery store opened up.
Nice.
Sure.
Maybe
yeah.
even longer after that. So it was definitely,
Downtown was a
not-
food desert, I'm sure.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Hardcore. Yeah. It was fun though. It was a fun time back then. It was really fun.
So
I missed it.
it feels like you've kind of established yourself at this point as like a very specific comedy ringer in TV and film. Sort of like Mantzoukas. Obviously, you're not playing the same characters, but like you both definitely have like if you need this guy, call Johnny.
Yeah.
So how long do you feel like it took to get to that point for you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think there's no definite point. I think there's not like a point when you're like, when, I can remember the first time I got something as an offer that just came out of nowhere. Maybe that's maybe that's an example of it. I don't know. I think it's, cause there's so much stuff happening all the time where I'm going out for things that I think I'm right for, or I love the project and I don't get it, but that's everyone has that,
Sure. Yeah.
example. I don't know. I mean, I really have no idea because it's so hard for me to think about
What would that first
stuff.
offer have been?
The first straight offer I got that was like what you're talking about was for You're the Worst.
Okay.
That was something where like, that's because I knew casting director really well. My favorite casting director ever, Wendy O'Brien. She's the greatest, and she gave me she didn't give me, but she did anoint me, whatever, with my first series regular job back in the day. And I don't know. So many casting people are just like, they're just the greatest, most warm, wonderful people. Like there's like at least 5 casting directors I can think of right now who I just, when I see them, we have to stop talking because we want to do the audition. There's also this group of casting ladies, these 2 women who cast for all kinds of stuff back in the day, like tons and tons of things. They've never cast me in anything, but we get along so well. They'll bring me in for everything.
They just want to hang out with you for half an hour.
Yeah,
I guess, but also they'll help me. They'll help me with the audition, like significantly. They'll let me do it over and over again and give me all these notes and stuff. Somehow I've never been cast in anything of theirs, but I don't know. It's like this thing where I just really like, I love auditioning. I think people are wrong to hate it.
You're the one that loves auditioning.
I'm not the only one.
I'm joking.
But it's kind of the case.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that You're the Worst was maybe the first thing where.
I mean, you're great
also, that was hard. It's so hard for me. I had a really hard time on that show because I had just finished shooting Action Point, and we shot that in South Africa, and it was really crazy shoot because it was like,
You shot that in South Africa?
I know, it's weird, right? Jeez. It's supposed to be New Jersey.
South Africa is Jersey?
You save a lot of money when you do that.
Sure.
And the money gets put back into like stuff like sets and things like that. So they were able to build this. They were able to do stuff there that you couldn't do other places, at least not for the price. But I don't know. You're the Worst was the opposite experience of Action Point, and it was just a few months afterwards. So I was just really struggling to deal with that as a performer because, like, what's his name, the showrunner for You're the Worst,
Stephen Falk.
Yeah, he's a brilliant writer. He's like really amazing, but he is very persnickety about what he wants.
I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, and rightly so. But that's not who I was then, and so it was just really frustrating to be like, God, what am I doing here?
I mean, it ended up being great, and you were like, you were really fucking good as that character, but that character is like very not likable.
Oh, really? Cool.
No, I mean, you're designed. You're designed to be that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's making Desmond Borges' character do like all of these, like basically turning him darker and darker and darker.
So you're kind of like the Rob Lowe character from Bad Influence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it is kind of Rob Lowe-y.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like a different, because it's a You're the Worst take on it, but it is kind of that.
Yeah. It's a little less 80s, a little less hair gel, probably.
I mean, it is called You're the Worst. So
yeah.
That's before I was there.
Yeah. Because you were in season 4, right? Or the last. Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't remember. I really don't. I don't. There's so much stuff. Once it's done, I don't even. I haven't watched that either.
I haven't watched almost anything I ever worked on.
Yeah.
I've watched maybe 2 things, and that was fucking 5.5 years of working in the industry.
Yeah. It's hard to watch.
I wasn't working in a creative vein though, so that's most of it. So
Should we talk about your experience
Almost. I'm
on
almost
SVU?
there. I have one more question that I
getting
want to
there.
knock out.
We're almost there.
So in episode of 195 of Live to Tape with Octavio Pisano, you two touched on getting typecast. Are you conscious or making a conscious effort to try to get more dramatic work?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I think typecasting is great. In a way, it's really good. People complain about it. I don't know if I was complaining about it on the episode, but I think it is.
I think he was more than you were.
He might have
been. You
yeah.
both kind of talked about it.
I think he has a different thing, obviously.
Yeah.
It's driven by something else, I suppose. But I don't know. I'm not trying to ever get any dramatic. I'm open to it. I'm really open to it. I think it's just I want to play either bad guys or stupid bad guys.
Sure.
And if it happens to be in a drama, it's a drama.
Okay.
If it happens to be in a comedy, it's in a comedy. Because I don't think there's not a really big difference between those two.
Right.
With Mermaid, that was a huge departure from anything I've ever done, and I'm really interested to see how it comes out because I don't know. It's going to be a comedy, but it's just me playing a character in a comedy that feels more like a dramatic character, even though it's not. And same with Fallout. Fallout's got humorous elements for sure, and I'm a part of some of that humorous element. So I don't know. I definitely like the dramatic stuff, but I don't like the traditional dramatic stuff. Sure. I like the stuff that's like really dark.
So as an LA-based actor, how did your guest spot on SVU come together?
They called me up and asked me if I wanted to do it. I was in the desert. Up by Lee Vining by Mono Lake camping, and I got a call. I had to walk up a hill to take the call.
Sure.
Like, do you want to do this? I'm like, well, I mean, should I? It's like, yeah, you should do it. I mean, because it's NBC, so they knew me really well. And we had a spinoff for Superstore in development at the time.
Okay.
Or maybe I think it had just been passed on.
Okay.
Which was like very disheartening for me. Like it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with.
Yeah, that sucks because Superstore is like a comfort show for me. Like I've watched every episode like 4 or 5 times.
People love it. Yeah, it was gonna be the Bo and Cheyenne show. You know, it was gonna be like our show. So I think there was maybe in a way, I don't know if it was them throwing me. No one ever throws anyone a bone, but it's like they were like, hey, you should do this role on Law and Order, and it's like, okay, I'll do it. As simple as that. And I was, it's like, okay. I remember looking up like, I don't know if I want to play a rapiste, you know?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little more coming up here.
Okay.
So, did they have you on a weekly?
What's that mean?
Like on a weekly contract? They just put you out for a week, or were you just in like doing like a 2 or 3 day? Contract?
I think I was there for a couple weeks because it was over. I was there for like 2.5 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the way they were block shooting.
Sure. But you were only on set for...
Oh, not very long. But I shot
3 days, maybe?
Maybe 4 days.
Okay.
Because it's 4 different locations.
Yeah.
It was also over a holiday weekend, and so that's just how it was. And it was also a time I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to get out of... Because it was still kind of COVID madness.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just get... It was like back then when they were being like, don't do anything, stay in your hotel room. And I was like, I'm going to Renaissance Festival. I'm not telling anybody. And I did.
You're outside.
Exactly. And also I was like, I'm sorry, but if I get COVID, it's just going to be, I don't care.
Yeah. Like, do you have I'm assuming you don't have a relationship with SVU. Like, I mean, as far as like watching it or anything like that.
No, not really. No. I mean, it's just I don't watch most things.
Yeah.
And that's one of those shows where I watched a bunch of it before I shot it just to kind of get the idea. Like, oh, this is definitely, it's
different,
a certain type of thing. It's a very, it's got a music to it that is, it's specific.
So I know you've done a ton of guest spots on shows, which surely can't be easy, just walking in and having to kind of get going, without anything. But was guesting on SVU a different on-set dynamic than you'd experienced?
I don't know. I think it's one of the best actually. And I
Okay.
was talking to my friend Paul Adelstein about it. He's done a couple guest stars on it. He and I did the show together called I Feel Bad.
Yeah.
He's so funny, really cool guy. And he was like, "Oh, they are super nice to you there because the guest stars are the lifeblood of the show because everyone who's on that show, they're all hyper intelligent, really great actors and stuff. But I think it gets a little boring for them there because it is
some
a
of
lot
them have been doing it for 24 years.
yeah, it's a little boring. It's a little boring. So when they have a guest star come in, it's like this thing where this is like a new toy to play with, and
Sure.
everyone was super. I mean, in a way where I was surprised how, Carisi and I were talking, and
Nice.
Awesome.
I forget everyone's names, but
Peter Scandavino. Yeah.
yeah, what a cool guy. What a truly cool guy. Same with who was the female detective? Not
Kelly
Mariska, but
Giddish.
Kelly Giddish. Yeah.
yeah, also just so friendly and fun to work with, and they're asking me stuff about like, so you do comedy and stuff, huh? And like, this is like between takes. I'm just like, yeah, like they're interested in stuff, which is so funny to me. And even I talked to Ice a little bit, but he's he's a very he's an older guy.
Sure.
He's lived 10 lives at this point, but I struck up a conversation with him one day because he used to be friends with this guy, Riley Gale, who's a singer of the band Power Trip, who I became friends with as well. Riley passed in, I think, 2021. Just, maybe 2020. It was fucking, it's very, very sad. He overdosed. But I talked to Ice about that, and it was nice to, to talk to him about that. And just, I don't know, I was just really surprised how incredibly friendly everyone was. And Octavio obviously is, I love that guy. He's just such an interesting guy. And so, yeah, I was actually there when he found out he got his
got promoted to series regular.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, we were downtown Manhattan. I was screaming in the streets, like I was so excited. I was truly.
It's such a huge fucking moment because that show's gonna be like that show. You're gonna keep getting fucking paid and paid and paid.
Oh
it's
yeah,
for
a long time.
Yeah, it's good. It's like one of the last shows that's gonna be on in perpetuity.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I was very excited
under the
for
old
him.
model. Yeah. So was Scandavino, did he break, was when he was not in character, was he talking as a Coloradan or in his Staten Island accent?
Oh God, I can't even remember. I think, gosh, I didn't think about that actually. I feel like I just didn't.
I wonder if
notice
he
it.
can turn
I
it
don't
on
know.
or turn it off and on, or if he just has to like stay in Staten Island.
Well,
I was very surprised that is not, to find that out that he is not, because he seems so
Yeah.
totally.
that guy. He
Yes.
really feels like it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So is it as like one take and move on as the show is kind of like at least popularly thought of being?
Not quite. I will say it's definitely a thing where they know what they want. They really know. They just know it. They've been doing it for so long. They know exactly what they want. So if you just do it how it's written, then you pretty much got it. You don't have to do. It's just such a well-oiled machine, and when they have someone as a guest star, they're having them on because they already know what they're dealing with. They know, like, oh, this is what you do, what you bring to the table, and so they're writing for you. It seems like that.
Yeah.
But everything was was easier, not easy, it was more effortless than I had anticipated.
Right on. Now, like as a heavily featured guest star, I mean, you're way up on the call sheet for this episode. Were you just given your pages, or are you given the full script for context?
I don't remember. I think I was given the full script.
Okay.
Gosh, I don't know. I
mean,
don't
they were
remember.
offering
It was a
you,
while
so
ago,
I can't. You can't possibly be expected to remember every detail about every show you're on.
Yeah.
Do you remember if you were in a like fully functioning ice cream truck, or if it was just a picture vehicle?
Oh, it was fully functioning.
Nice.
Too fully
Hell yeah.
functioning. It was a thing where between takes, there were people who somehow got through security.
Sure.
I was serving people ice cream a bunch of times. For real.
That's
It was
fantastic.
so funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was serving crew members ice cream and stuff. It was really,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I forgot about that. It was very funny.
Were your hands all fucked up from the ice cream, or was it all like
Yeah.
prepackaged stuff?
No, it's
Were you scooping and?
Were you scooping?
no,
it?
it's the soft serve.
Oh, sure,
Okay,
sure, sure.
excellent.
So I'm
Yeah.
swirling it into a
Yeah.
cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's I can't believe that.
That's fantastic.
Uh,
Did they let you keep the Swirly City hat and shirt? Because somebody
No.
out there's wearing those.
You know
right
what?
now.
I may have snuck out with the hat. I don't think
Okay.
I still have it.
Nice.
now, so obviously there's a pretty awful scene in the cold open.
Oh yeah,
with
the
you.
darkest of all.
Yeah,
God,
like I
insane.
rewatching it for like the third time last night. All the tight shots on the 3-year-old indicate that at least on set he's not there while you're.
No, he's not there. No,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not there at all.
But is that
So
the
do you
most
get
fucked up
the-
thing you've been asked to do?
Yeah.
Like-
do you have occasion to say if he cries he dies very often
No.
anymore?
I usually say it at the bank, you know. I don't know. I don't think that gosh, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is they're so aware of all this stuff. They have an intimacy coordinator
Yeah.
who is
Yeah.
she was wonderful, very friendly, overly what do you call it? Like concerned with how everyone feels. So the process is mind-numbingly not titillating whatsoever. It's
Sure.
almost
Yeah.
like rigorously just it's not
Right,
you don't
right.
there's no feelings.
This
at
isn't
all.
on set in Last Tango in Paris or something.
No, it doesn't feel heavy at all. Anything. It doesn't feel, at least not for me, it didn't. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not something I enjoy,
Yeah.
that kind of
Sure.
stuff. But
Right.
yeah, it was surprisingly simple and comfortable, and everyone. It seemed like everyone.
Almost surgical.
Yeah,
Mhm.
almost surgical.
So your character was super helpful with Finn and Velasquez when they first interviewed you at the truck. Would you have found it naturally difficult to cooperate with actual cops, or were Ice-T and Octavio just that disarming?
Oh God, I don't know. I feel like just talking to cops in general is something I always try to avoid. I think we all should, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Travis was he's a bold person to have talked to those cops the way he did,
Mhm.
and I don't know if I could do that. No way.
Yeah. So Adam and I are like 200 episodes of SVU
Yeah.
into this fucking endeavor.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of, at this point it's more like a performance art project than it is
Yeah.
TV reviews.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I do have to say though that this is easily one of the darkest and most particular MOs that we've seen a serial rapist have.
Yeah.
Like
It
the
is,
raping
really,
of
isn't
raping of a single mother in front of their child is
Uh-huh.
dark.
It's pretty dark.
Yep. How did you put yourself in the shoes of this like wolf in sheep's clothing?
Well, I definitely did not put myself in his
Okay,
shoes.
good, good.
I don't know if I
get
Didn't
it.
go full method.
No, definitely did not. I don't know. I think it was. I really just. It's not as dark as it seems,
Mm,
because for whatever reason, what was cool though was the makeup. That was that. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look so.
How long were you in the chair for that?
Yeah.
Probably maybe 2 or 3 hours. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe less.
They did it. They made you look real fucked up. I just
Oh, it was
rewatched it
so good. I
an hour
love
ago.
that.
Uh-huh.
I love it so much. That kind of stuff, I love it.
Jesus.
And it's so funny because Mike, the makeup artist, he I worked with him on Fallout.
Okay.
Nice.
Right on.
Yeah, same guy. So he's
good.
so-
They flew him to wherever the fuck you were shooting in Fallout.
All around
yeah,
the world.
no, he
Yeah.
was the head of the department for
Wow.
the entire show. Like,
Okay.
he
That's
was
amazing.
he's the guy.
I suppose he's like a ringer that they bring in when they need something. Like SVU doesn't need makeup like that often.
No, I think he was the guy on the. I don't know exactly the particulars, but he definitely was the person. He worked on that show for a long time. I
Okay.
think he still does. Maybe I don't even know. But yeah, wonderful man. But yeah, that makeup stuff. So some of that stuff is like I don't have to do anything. Like you don't have
Right.
to.
The makeup does the
Chris-
acting for you.
Yeah, and even then, that scene, I'm not even saying anything at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is. I will say it is. I think it is about it is playing a character like that. It's not so much about getting into the character as it is guarding yourself from the character.
Sure.
And I think, I don't know, maybe because it wasn't that long of a shoot or was spread out over a long enough time to where I didn't feel like no one treated me like that character,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've been doing this so long that I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just something where I didn't feel like I got stained by it at all, which can happen.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
it wasn't like a experience where I'm having to find this, because I think that's why the character is so nefarious, is because he seems like he couldn't possibly do that.
Right.
And so if that's the case, then you're not really trying to get into this character, because the character
Is putting up a front the whole time.
or it just doesn't seem like this is the person, and that's what makes it so devilish, is that it's like, seems like a guy the ice cream guy is doing this,
Right. So the scene with the gun in the park seemed to have like a lot of moving pieces. I know they had a stunt guy for when Pisano was meant to have tackled you.
right?
And I'm assuming when you're coming out of the truck, it's a stunt guy too, because there's a cutaway. And
No, it's me.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's me. Yeah.
But so he's kind of roughing you up when you're back on your feet. How was shooting like that whole sequence?
It's awesome. It was great. I love it, because Octavia and I had become friends at that point.
Sure.
I was like, just give it to me, man. It's fine. Like, no one got hurt or anything.
Oh yeah.
But it's a matter of just selling it. I love doing physical stuff. I've always loved it a lot, and I feel like it's a thing where if it's really comfortable, then it's not going to look that good. And everyone, people are always like, "Are you okay? Are you comfortable?" And sometimes you have to lie a little bit, because, I'm be more comfortable being uncomfortable having this thing look good than it would be being comfortable
and have it
having
look like
this
shit.
look bad.
Exactly.
And that's fine. I think that's part of it. You have to have a little bit. It's like you can't, if you're heavy breathing long enough, you are going to get tired, even if you're just pretending.
Right.
But I don't know. That was cool. I forgot about that, because it was pretty physical. Being like, jostled around.
You're really getting like kind of tossed around a little bit, like.
Yeah.
I was selling it too. I was selling
sure.
it hard.
Yeah. Was it strange playing such a fucked up character and then having the SVUs who arrested you feel bad about you getting fucked up by cops?
I don't know. That wasn't strange. I don't think so.
Okay.
I feel like.
And I think in some ways that like some of those scenes were all like it would be like
they're
Pisano
off.
and Kelly
Right.
Giddish. So like together.
At the coffee. Yeah. So you've played a slew of like ne'er-do-wells and miscreants. The shit bubbling under the surface with Max and You're the Worst is pretty gnarly in a different way. I know this is just a procedural, and you probably shot for you shot for a few days. But in your estimation, have you had to play a character as dark as this?
Probably, yeah. I have trouble thinking. I have trouble remembering stuff a lot.
Sure,
Like, I just forget everything after it happens. I think that not the darkness of his actions, no. But I think I've played I think the character from Mermaid is pretty dark.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think the character from Fallout is actually
Nice.
pretty dark.
Well, looking forward to both of those then.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
That
other
sounds
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's it's such a relative term,
Sure.
and it's also just a thing where, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what fucked me up the most is working on something, but I feel like
A lot of times that's not going to be the character, right? Like that's going to be more of the like working situation.
yeah, but it is the character. It's the character
Sure.
because it's like you having to live in a character.
Right,
is,
right. Yeah, it's a bad space to be in sometimes, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I feel like for You're the Worst, I really hated that character so much. That was honestly, that's probably the most uncomfortable I've been in a character. I got my hair the second I wrapped on it. I called up my barber and I went and got my hair cut.
Yeah.
Like I literally walked from set to to the barber shop to get a haircut because I was like, I gotta get this fucking. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
I hated that character.
I mean, I get it. I've fucking seen the show. I get
Yeah.
not wanting to be in that character anymore.
So gross.
Yeah. So you mentioned in the episode of Live to Tape with Octavio Pisano that the solution to the problem of trying to be main cast in something is to sort of take the reins and make it yourself. Is that some of where Minnesota Reggae Colostomy Bag came from?
Yeah, but more just wanting to just tell that story because it's something I haven't
Sure.
talked about before. But that's that's a different thing. But yeah, anything is that case. I think maybe we were talking more about writing stuff, but
Sure.
but that's writing stuff, I guess.
Have you been working on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming if you're working on it, you don't want to talk about it because I sure as
Definitely.
don't. I sure as fuck don't. When I'm
You're right.
writing
You're right. You're right.
something. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
like I don't want to talk about fucking anything that I'm working on writing wise.
Yeah, because it dispels the energy of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or unless you do the opposite of it. Some people do the opposite. It works for them.
I don't mind talking about it in like with someone using them as sort of a de facto collaborator, but like
Right.
I don't want to talk about it like until it's
Publicly, yeah.
Yeah. So you obviously have a penchant for playing big characters. Having listened to you on yours and other podcasts, you're a lot more introspective, and obviously I think, talking here today, you're a lot more introspective than the characters you play would ever suggest. I'm sure you're glad for the insane characters that you get to play, but do you ever feel any frustration for being cast so often in these roles?
Like what do you mean? Like what roles exactly?
Well,
Like
I mean,
just-
you're always playing like a pretty big, Bo. Obviously, Bo's like
Bo is
a
Bo's very big.
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess Son of Zorn, you're not playing a big character. You're sort of the normal person
Yeah.
in the mix. But I mean, you're definitely like in I Feel Bad, you're sort of a weirdo in the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everything in Kroll Show. I can't remember, but you've got to be playing weirdos in that the whole time.
I guess so. I don't know. I like what was the question?
Sorry. Do you ever feel frustration from being cast like so often in that sort of role, or are you fine with it?
I don't think so. I mean, those are all pretty different in my mind. I think the only frustration I ever would feel, which has gone away because I'm not being cast in that anymore. Also, because I really would not say yes to that, is playing their characters like the white virgin guy who's I call him Virgin Piss Boy.
Okay,
So
sure.
I don't do double Virgin Piss Boy is not the character I will do anymore.
Right.
Because it's like I just don't, or like the guy who's like the white dude who is just so bad, like he has nothing about him that is redeemable, like a flat villain.
Right.
That to me is just bad writing too. But I don't know. I love those. I love playing characters like that. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like some of the stuff I've worked on the last 2 years, some of the stuff that's not come out is a big departure from that.
Okay.
Not a huge
I mean,
departure.
Fallout and Mermaid seem like they're
Awesome.
definitely you getting to like stretch some more.
Yeah, also just playing like an older character. So some of that is also just
Sure.
age, like playing someone who's not like who's
Well,
not
and
an
you were
idiot.
playing so much younger
Yeah.
for so long.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think most people would be shocked to know how old you are because of how long you were able to like play that
Yeah.
like young 20-something character.
Right, but also people will say that they'll be like, "Oh, I'm 42." They'll be like, "Oh, you're like that's crazy. Like you were playing a teenager." It's like, "Yeah, I was playing a teenager 10 years ago."
Sure.
Or like,
Right.
I'll see there's friends of mine who will post a picture of me from like a podcast or something. I'm like, you realize that picture is almost 15 years old?
Sure.
Like I don't look like that anymore.
Yeah,
like, that is-
I mean, pull a picture from Instagram or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
That is the same person. Yes, that is me, but that was
Yeah,
me wearing
sure.
makeup, like terrible heavy makeup for a studio portrait gallery shoot
Right.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm definitely not that person anymore, even though it maybe kind of seems like it from afar.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so funny to me that's some of those pictures are going to haunt me forever. I realize that now. I can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
It's just part of my life.
Nice.
So while I was stuck in a van on the lot at Universal, I'd watch as the Superstore cast and crew walked around the lot, working on a show that you were working on a show that I desperately wish to be working on. You've had a lot of shows that on the surface seem like they'd have been a blast to work on. What was your favorite thing that you've worked on? And what made it
Superstore,
so fun?
by
Okay,
far.
Superstore,
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, it's just it was like, I mean, I got to be just to jump in there,
Sure.
and it was a thing where everyone's so funny.
Yeah.
Like everyone is funny on that show.
Yeah.
Just not to a fault, but like to each person is so funny on their own way. And that's like it's just crazy that's the case, and everyone's so friendly and having such a good time, and all the crew people like know me and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like this thing where it's such a warm environment that it's everything else since then it feels just like, man, it's not like that.
Mhm.
Nothing is
Yeah.
as good as that ever.
So before we let you go, what have you been like filling your head with? What have you been watching, reading, whatever?
Reacher.
Nice.
I fucking just finished it. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's like there's stuff in that show where some of the performances are just abysmal,
Uh-huh.
but I'm still watching it.
Yeah, it's that weird like action TV,
Yeah.
like little like it feeds that little like beast, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, it's like I don't think it's good, but it's really fucking fun.
Yeah, it's good in a sense. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's good at delivering the action stuff,
Right.
but like as like I don't know how like
I know what you mean.
yeah.
As a product.
Sure.
As a-
Anything you've been reading? I know you were
I'm
talking
reading-
about Tim O'Brien with Octavia.
Yeah, I love him. I think I just finished reading. Gosh, I forget what I just finished reading, but I started reading Dune,
Okay.
Nice.
and because I want to read it before the next movie comes
Sure.
out,
Yeah.
so I can like get ahead of the curve with some of these characters.
hmm
But man, I just can't believe how good it is. It's like the book. It's such a, everyone says 1,000 times, but there's so much in the book. Because I have seen the movies. I love the movie.
hmm
I don't know why. I think it's not so much. It's the texture of it and the sound
hmm
of. That's what I love so much about it.
The recent one or the David Lynch one?
Villeneuve
The,
or
the recent
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Villeneuve one,
Yeah.
okay.
Like I love it so much that it's not even like the movie I'm loving. It's like sort of just the mood of it. I love the mood of
Yeah.
it so much. But I reading the book now, I'm like, I can't believe how much stuff isn't in the movie. Like there's like a depth to some of these.
Yeah.
Like the Atreides, they're not the good guys. They're sort of like the best of the guys.
Yeah.
You know what I
they're
mean?
All,
Like
they're all
there's-
shitty.
They're all kind of shitty.
uh-huh.
They're all like have these. And like the Bene Gesserit, they're bad. They're kind of bad. Like these weird. Oh, it's crazy to think that everyone's scheming.
hmm
hmm
It's so interesting. But
They need the
it's-
spice.
The spice must flow.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Well, Johnny, thank you so
Thank-
much for joining us.
Man,
It was
thank you
my
for giving us
pleasure.
so much time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry we kept you so long.
No, it's fine. It's a rainy day here.
Good.
Nice.
Good. Has the weather been okay? I'm
it's
gonna be
wonderful.
out there in a week or two.
It's gonna be rainy as hell probably when you're here, I think.
probably. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to work anyway, so what the fuck ever. But
Yeah, what
Yeah.
do you care?
yeah.
Exactly.
So one more time, what do you have coming out soon, and where can the audience?
You can watch Fallout in the spring on Amazon. I'm being in Chicago February 16th and 17th doing my solo show, my one man show. Otherwise, it's just you'll know about it if you check me out on online. If you follow me online on my various online platforms, you'll
Your
be
Instagram's
notified.
fun. Your Instagram's really fun.
I like to keep it breezy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I guess I don't want to ask too much about Wayne,
Right.
but it is. I find Wayne fascinating.
Well, Wayne's got some new videos coming out probably this weekend
Nice. Okay,
Nice.
cool.
from the Indianapolis sewer conference.
Okay. I saw you. I saw you like live streaming from there, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is this?"
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
very,
what I said,
very
too.
interested into. Anyway, so again, thank you so much for joining us, Johnny.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.